survival games are a real test of your courage and power. And if you have a PlayStation 5, there are some survival games you can enjoy. They will force you to make difficult decisions and fight to stay alive in some of the most dire conditions imaginable. The games in this video can have you living through a zombie apocalypse or keeping a civilization afloat on a new planet. There really is something for everyone when it comes to the best survival games on PS5 that I'm going to show you now. The Forest takes the basic premise of a show like Lost, where you're a survivor of a plane crash on a mysterious island with way more going on than meets the eye, but somehow makes it even more harsh. We won't spoil the details of the plot, which plenty of survival games don't even bother with, but it is a refreshing change of pace to have a goal in mind when attempting to survive against both the elements and hostile forces out to get you. It is a great way to push you outside your comfort zone, literally and figuratively, and experience the tension of exploration and combat. A forested island setting isn't terribly unique, but that's just how the game begins. A large amount of the game involves diving into a deep network of caves that require different items and tools to progress further and further into. When a nuclear war devastates Europe, leaving only a slither of Norway left standing, you have to fight to survive. And that's exactly what Vigor is about, outlanders fighting over resources in an escape from Tarkov-like raid experience. During raids, you'll be going toe-to-toe with other players online in an attempt to snaffle valuable resources from under their noses. You take in the gear you want to, but be warned, a single shot could have you limping home sooner than you hoped. Fortunately, this is one of the best free shooting games available right now, meaning that you don't have to purchase the game to play it. Heating up again, Stranded Deep is yet another example of a plane crash survivor struggling to survive, this time on an island in the Pacific Ocean. If The Forest was lost as a survival game, then Stranded Deep would be Castaway. You can explore your randomized island, build structures, and craft plenty of tools. While temperature was a main focus of the last few survival games, Stranded Deep is all about hydration. Water, at least drinkable water, is going to be your biggest concern in this game. Becoming dehydrated is one of the easiest ways to die here, and even temporary water substitutes, such as coconut milk, can't be abused. That's not even mentioning the dangers that lurk under the water's surface. Metro Exodus is a first-person shooter with a large emphasis on survival. It has been called one of the most immersive video game worlds ever created. You'll explore and deal with a variety of horrors found in Moscow, Russia. The city is in a ruinous post-apocalyptic state 25 years after a nuclear war. Mutated beasts and paranormal activity leave survivors hopeless, but if you maintain hope, you might make it out alive. Embark on a continent-spanning sandbox-style journey where your decisions are often a matter of life or death. Dysmantle lives up to its name. 10 Tons open-world RPG is set during a zombie apocalypse, resulting in a fittingly lonely and dangerous world. While by no means terrible, the game setting and story are fairly run-of-the-mill, even if they both feature a couple of unique touches that help distinguish them from their many peers. However, what really sets Dysmantle apart is its destruction, gathering, and crafting mechanics, which all combine to create a deeply satisfying gameplay loop that expands nicely and naturally over the course of a few dozen hours. Basically, Dysmantle encourages players to break their surroundings to collect resources to craft things like food and tools. As the survivor's arsenal expands, so do their destructive capabilities, allowing them to tear apart aspects of the world that previously held strong. This system works really well and encourages experimentation, even if the selection of weapons is not especially vast. Visually, the title utilizes an isometric camera angle akin to something like Diablo 3, and that comparison also extends to its colorful presentation. Dysmantle also supports co-op. This is one of the newest survival games to hit consoles and is a rare entry that had no early access period. You play as an anthropologist named Jake Higgins who becomes stranded in the Amazon rainforest during an expedition to try and find his wife Mia. Mia went into the forest to try and make contact with a native tribe but hasn't been heard from since. Naturally, this is not the most hospitable environment, full of extremely deadly flora and fauna. You can also forego the narrative and simply play it as a survival sim experience by yourself or with a friend in co-op. Medieval Dynasty drops you right into the Middle Ages of Europe. Your goal is to expand your presence and become an icon across various lands. A large open world is at your disposal, with scorching summers and freezing winters that will push your survivability to its limits. The need for crops, proper housing, and village defenses are what make Medieval Dynasty a top-tier survival game. You can make every decision or sit back and watch as some unfold without your influence. Either way, it is up to you to ensure your own survival. Chernobylite is a science fiction survival horror RPG developed by the Farm 51. Set in the Chernobyl exclusion zone, the game combines free exploration, challenging combat, and non-linear storytelling. Players assume the role of a physicist searching for their missing loved one in the radioactive wasteland, where they must survive against hostile forces and supernatural threats. With its immersive atmosphere and deep narrative, Chernobylite offers a unique and gripping experience. The Last Stand, Aftermath is a post-apocalyptic action RPG developed by Conan Games. Set in a world overrun by zombies, players must scavenge for resources, build shelters, and fight off hordes of the undead. The game features a compelling story with multiple endings based on player choices, as well as strategic gameplay that challenges players to manage their resources wisely. With its intense action and deep RPG mechanics, The Last Stand, Aftermath offers a thrilling and immersive experience for fans of the genre. The popular PC game has finally arrived on PS5, with Rust delivering a realistic survival-focused experience in a persistent world. While you're able to play alone, the best moments playing Rust are against, or with, other players in multiplayer. Whether you prefer to team up with friends and make it one of the best co-op games to play, or prefer to go it alone and take other players' belongings, Rust delivers an engaging time that will have your mood swing from angry to ecstatic constantly. The world's electronics have gone offline, leaving players to survive in the freezing Canadian wilderness. The Long Dark has two modes, Survival and Wintermute. While the gameplay loop is largely consistent between the two, the latter follows a story that is split into episodes. The plot is nothing to write home about, but it provides a sense of structure for players who prefer some direction. Survival mode is the Long Dark's bread and butter, and it is fantastic. After spawning in one of the map's many regions, players have to try and survive for as long as possible. Wildlife and frostbite are just a few things that can lead to a quick death. Breathedge is a dark comedy survival game developed by Red Ruin Softworks. Set in space, players control a survivor stranded in the aftermath of a spaceship crash. The game combines crafting, exploration, and humor as players scavenge for resources, build tools and equipment, and unravel the mysteries of the cosmos. With its unique blend of survival gameplay and comedic storytelling, Breathedge offers a fresh take on the genre. The Persistence, Enhanced Edition is a sci-fi horror game developed by Firesprite. Set aboard a deep space colony ship overrun by horrific mutants, players must navigate procedurally generated levels, collect resources, and upgrade their abilities to survive. The game features immersive VR support and a tense atmosphere that keeps players on the edge of their seats. With its blend of horror and strategic gameplay, The Persistence, Enhanced Edition delivers a thrilling and unforgettable experience. Frostpunk is an interesting take on the survival game, as it's also a city builder and society management simulation. Controlling a society after a devastating chill covers the earth in ice and snow. In Frostpunk, it's up to people to make decisions for the populace while managing resource collection and the society's happiness. With lawmaking mechanics, a host of technology tiers, 8 different maps, and a variety of game modes, this single-player civilization management title is unlike others in the survival genre. Stranded: Alien Dawn is a planet survival simulation. A small group is marooned on a new planet and their fate is in your hands. This is a strategic survival game where you face potential disease, harsh weather, and starvation if you make the wrong moves. In a beautiful 3D world, you must construct a base and create defenses to keep your group alive. From there, you can choose to bolster your food sources, learn new technologies, or discover unique ways to withstand the planet's worst environmental hazards. If there's one thing survival games should do, it's to make you actually afraid. Yeah, hunger, thirst, and other meters ticking down can stress you out, but ultimately it's the environment you're trying to survive in, or the things trying to kill you, that make it an actually frightening experience. That's part of what makes Subnautica, Below Zero such a fantastic survival game. Not only is the setting of a planet that is effectively one giant ocean unique to, well, just about any game, but also perfectly tickles that uncomfortable part of our brains that is afraid of what might be lurking below the surface of the water. Because this is an alien world, we can't even try to rationalize with ourselves either, because there very well could be a giant monster down there for all we know. Tribes of Midgard is a unique survival game that employs RPG elements and has multiplayer capabilities for you and up to 9 others. There are a few different modes to choose from, with the most treacherous being its survival mode. You must explore Midgard and all of its dangers to build a home and advance your civilization. There are skills to level up, mighty bosses to battle, and character customization galore. Whether you build a simple homestead or a vast empire, the terrors of Ragnarok will descend upon you. Originally released in 2018, Conan Exiles is one of the top sandbox survival games out there. Thankfully, developers Funcom listened to players and gave the game the dedicated new-gen optimization treatment, and alongside it a huge expansion, Isle of Sipta. This means it's improved resolutions and frame rates, more textures, and an all-around higher quality of play. You can build settlements, grow crops, and ultimately fight your way out of sticky situations in this wonderfully barbaric game optimized for PS5. Not all survival games need to be brutal. In fact, the casual nature of Minecraft's survival mechanics, should you even choose to play with them, are part of what makes the game so endearing. By now this juggernaut of a title is among the most recognizable games ever made, specifically for it being an open sandbox you can do just about anything in. That includes playing it as a survival experience, which is essentially the main game. There are optional goals and things you can do to make this more difficult, but you can also just play it as a more relaxed experience, though you will likely become so strong early on that most, if not all, the normal threats in the game will become negligible and mundane. Though the initial reception for Ark: Survival Ascended has not been overwhelmingly positive, it's the newest iteration of the Ark series, which certainly is one of the better survival franchises to exist. Ark: Survival Ascended is a survival game where the main goal is to capture prehistoric creatures and killer dinosaurs while avoiding environmental hazards and other players. A new build of Ark: Survival evolved in UE5. There is a long list of planned updates and expansions coming to Ascended that were released for the previous game. Though the launch of ASA has surely had a few bumps in the road, the roadmap for ASA shows that Studio Wildcard is dedicated to improving the game. Is there a more fitting name for a survival game than Don't Starve? This quirky little title has one of the most unique aesthetics of any game on this list. Rather than go for harsh realism or completely stylistic pixel art, Don't Starve is almost papercraft in its art. You play from an isometric camera angle of a work that looks like cardboard cutouts of rough, sketched drawings. There's something very Tim Burton about the feel this game gives you, where everything has that dark tint to it that feels a little gothic or horror-inspired, even when they're not meant to be explicitly scary. Even the way characters speak through melodic tones feels uncanny in just the right way. Despite a very rocky launch, with lots of missed opportunities and broken promises, developer Hello Games has turned No Man's Sky from being a disappointment to one of the most ambitious and greatest survival games ever made. The sheer amount of content to enjoy is unfathomable, with an entire universe to explore, with quintillions, that's 18 quintillion, of planets to find and land on, gather resources, and build your bases or upgrade your spaceships. If the idea of an open-ended universe sounds appealing to you, then No Man's Sky is a must-play. The Callisto Protocol is a narrative-driven survival horror game with a third-person perspective. Travel 300 years in the future as Jacob Lee as he becomes an inmate of the Black Iron Prison. Soon after he arrives, other prisoners begin to turn into horrifying monsters. You will have to survive by scavenging as you make your way through the prison. There are new combat tactics to learn, weapons to find, gear to equip, and abilities to upgrade. It is essential that you evolve alongside the creatures you're facing to escape the prison on Jupiter's moon. The common description of Terraria being 2D Minecraft isn't necessarily wrong, but Terraria did come out before the hit block-based building game, just to give credit where it's due. In fact, the differences between the two have only gotten smaller as Minecraft has evolved to follow more closely in Terraria's footsteps. This is a game with timeless pixel art about building up a base, supplies, weapons, and all that, but with more of a purpose than most survival games. Sure, you can completely ignore the main goals if you want and just deal with the threats that come during the night as need be while building your dream castle or whatever, but the bulk of the fun is challenging all the bosses this game has. Enshrouded is a co-op survival action RPG in a fantasy setting. Another early access title, in Enshrouded, people are thrust into the vivid realm of Embervale and must survive the torrid land by crafting, building, and upgrading weaponry to defeat the threats that loom. With caves, forests, dungeons, and a wide-open world, it's one of the better survival games set in a fantasy setting that's out right now. In addition, there's 16-player co-op gameplay, providing a lot of potential for larger-than-average party sizes. So, did you like the games I recommended? So leave your like, subscribe to the channel to follow me, and activate the bell because I post a lot of videos on this channel and you can't miss it. Thank you very much for following me this far, and until next time, bye.